Alabama, 1949. The air was thick with summer heat and whispers of something terrible. Mary Whitaker, 29, stood in her Sunday best, a faded cream dress and worn shoes, at the front of a courtroom in Montgomery. A mother, a church choir soprano, and a cleaner at the county library, she had never been more than 10 miles outside her neighborhood. That morning, she stood trial for a crime she didn't understand and a man she barely knew. The charge: the murder of Judge Thomas Kellerman, a respected white magistrate found stabbed in his study 3 months prior. They said Mary was seen fleeing the judge's home that night. They said her fingerprints were on the glass. They said she had a motive, revenge for losing her brother in a sentencing Kellerman handed down years ago. They lied. Mary had no alibi that night because she had fallen asleep reading to her 6-year-old daughter, Alma, in their shared bedroom. She had never even stepped foot inside the Kellerman estate. But there was no one willing to speak for her, not in 1949 Alabama. Her defense attorney, a court-appointed man who never asked Mary for her side, called no witnesses. The all-white, all-male jury took 42 minutes to find her guilty. The judge, his voice cold and flat, sentenced her to death by electric chair. Mary did not cry. She did not plead. She simply turned to her daughter in the gallery and said softly, "Baby, don't let the truth die with me." The weeks that followed were a blur. Protests bubbled up quietly, mostly among black churches and civil rights groups. The NAACP filed an appeal, citing a lack of evidence, mishandled witness statements, and prosecutorial misconduct. But the Alabama Supreme Court upheld the conviction. The execution date was set for September 8, 1949. Mary spent her final 72 hours at the Wetumpka Women's Prison. She wrote 3 letters, one to her daughter, one to her pastor, and one to the governor. "Governor Pierce," she wrote, "I may not wear your skin, nor carry your power, but I carry no blood on my hands. If you have any light left in your heart, do not let that chair take me. I am not your killer." The governor never replied. The morning of the execution, the prison warden offered her a final meal. She asked only for cornbread and sweet tea. She declined a pastor, but asked the matron for a comb. She braided her hair herself. At 6:03 a.m., Mary was strapped into the chair known bitterly by inmates as Grim Nellie. Her hands did not tremble. A hood was placed over her head. As the final switch was flipped, a guard whispered, "God have mercy." She was pronounced dead at 6:06 a.m. 52 years later, in 2001, a law student at Howard University named Aaliyah Burns stumbled across Mary's case while researching posthumous pardons. What she found was damning: suppressed eyewitness testimony, forged fingerprint cards, and a confession from a dying inmate who claimed he was the man at the Kellerman home that night, sent there to steal a box of court documents for a corrupt local sheriff. A campaign began. It took 4 years, hundreds of hours of legal research, and multiple letters to the state before Alabama finally reopened the case. In 2005, the state issued a formal apology and posthumously exonerated Mary Whitaker, acknowledging a grave injustice carried out under the veil of law. A memorial now stands at her grave in Oak Hill Cemetery with the words, "Executed by man, absolved by truth." Alma, now in her 60s, wept as she read her mother's last letter aloud at the dedication ceremony. "I go in peace, though the world did not give it to me. If someday the sun shines on my name again, let it remind you that even light can be buried, but never killed."